Hello and welcome to Be More Super Live. What was that police car in the background then? I thought that was part of the music. That was excellent. Welcome to the show, everyone watching, and welcome back, Dan, my co-host with the most. Mate, it's been a couple of weeks, I've got to say. Coming back from Turkey, never again. I've got to say,
Well,
I'm waiting for that Guinness Book of Records certificate to come to me for the most amount of root canals in one sitting.
mate, my heart goes out to you. You've turned up with your new teeth, and I've just noticed I've got a little mustache coming through there. So
Look
that's
at
nice, isn't it? No,
that.
I know,
All,
bloody hell.
all
Eh?
you need is one of those, like a smoking jacket and one of those cigarette holders. You could be a
Yeah.
villain in thinking.
But,
But anyway,
yeah.
so tonight's show we have got a great guest. So this guest has not only starred in one of my favorite shows this year and last year, The Ark. Which is on SYFY. Amazing. I've had the majority of the cast, so I'm really buzzed to have this guest on. She also starred in Marvel's Moon Knight, which, again, one of my favorite Marvel shows, as well as lending her voice to Baldur's Gate 3, as well as a plethora of other game titles. So, shall we get our guest on, Dan?
Let's do it. Let's do it. It sounds like she's in Beirut. I don't know what was happening there, but I feel like it. The alarms were going off earlier on. Let's have fingers crossed. See if
So,
the
please
shooting down the
welcome
road has
Dìana
sorted itself out.
Bermudez. Hello, Dìana. How are you?
Hello. Hello. Good. I'm going to apologize in advance because I live right next to a hospital.
Oh,
So the sirens are going to be going off non-stop because of the ambulances going past. So apologies. The
do
sirens
you know what?
are coming
We will
from me.
forgive you, and I'm sure because you're currently in London, so I presume that it makes maybe rent a bit cheaper, being right next to a hospital, or not? I don't know. No,
Mate.
doesn't it?
No, it's London. I mean,
Oh, but you know what? I'm really looking forward to the chat tonight because we've got a lot to talk about. When I was doing my research, Dìana, literally, I was looking at all your work, and I'm thinking, where the heck am I going to start? Where can I start with your career and talking from coming from Colombia over to the UK? There's so much stuff to talk about. So I'm going to start off with the question that we always ask really is why acting? Because if my research is correct, it wasn't originally what you wanted to do in life. Is that correct, or have I just got it completely wrong?
no, that's exactly right. I didn't ever think it would be something that I could pursue because, of course, I never saw it as a legitimate option. Considering I never saw myself represented on screen or on stage, yeah, I just didn't think it was for me. So I did try to pursue a different career originally. I actually went to King's College to study French and Spanish with the hopes of becoming potentially a translator. But it's just the acting career and the performing arts always drew me back. So when I was at King's College, I hated my course, but I was only going so that I could go to the Musical Theatre Society. And it just, that's what ended up happening. I ended up dropping out of King's College. I went over to Italy to teach some English, and I ended up in a theatre company in Italy. And then I just thought, I'll go to drama school.
Yeah, just turn into the steer. Just allow it. It's happening. It's already made its choice for you there, right?
And not any
Exactly.
any
I think
normal
it's
drama school. You went to the Royal Central School of Speech and Drama, which is quite a well-known school. It really is. So why that school and why not, I know, Lambda or RADA or somewhere, in another country? Why that school?
Well, I'll admit that, I was actually really clueless because, again, it wasn't a career that I was looking to pursue. So even just my knowledge of drama schools was like quite limited. And in fact, that was the only straight drama school that I applied for. It was my wild card because I was thinking of studying drama. like at Royal Holloway or another university. And then I remember when I went to do my audition and interview at Central, and I walked through the doors, and I remember just seeing like a group of students going in to perform, and I was like, oh my God, I'm in Fame. And that's what it felt like. And so I was like, I have to come here. It just filled me with so much excitement. And I just knew that I had to go to Central no matter what.
And
And luckily I got in.
I've heard as well that you're a massive musical fan, that you love your musicals. So while studying there, did you do any musicals? You know, can you tell us about any things that you've been in the way of musicals?
Well, listen, I have a fun story actually. So I did do musicals when I was in primary school. That was kind of what I used to go to the drama club. However, there was this phenomenal person who was in a year above me, I believe she was, and she always got all the lead roles. And I was always like, oh, she's so amazing. My mum would come and see my shows, my musicals, and she'd be like, Dìana, you were good, but that girl is just
Oh.
amazing. And no surprise, because I'll tell you who that girl is. It's only Cynthia Erivo. She was in my primary school, the one who's playing Wicked, the green Elphaba, the Green Witch in the new Wicked. She is absolutely phenomenal. I mean, she's won Tonys. She's like incredible. And I was like, well, of course, I was trying to compete with her. I mean, there's
That
no
is absolutely
competing.
heartbreaking, Dìana. You know what I mean? Do you ever think to yourself, I was just born at the wrong time? Because I tried to carve a career in radio presenting, and as I started to make inroads in it, the backside fell out of commercial radio. If I'd have been born like 2 or 3 years earlier, it'd have been me. I'd have been there doing drive time, and I bet you're sat there thinking now, if only my parents met 2 years prior, I'd have been the year above. I'd have been getting those parts.
No, not even. I mean, like I like singing, but I don't have that level of skill. I mean, that, nowadays as well in musicals, I just think that the singing is just insane. I mean, that's why I love them. I love going and I'm mesmerized by these.
What's your favorite one,
incredible
Dìana? What's your favorite?
My favorite musical to this day is Wicked, which is why I'm extra excited that Cynthia is in Wicked, because I'm like, wow, this is.
Do you know what? I took my wife about 2 months ago to see Wicked in the West End, and she's never seen it. And literally, it was just amazing. I mean, the talent on that stage and the singing, defying gravity, it's just beautiful. I mean, I'm very lucky though, because my girls, because I love musicals as well. My girls are 6 and 10, and currently they're obsessed with Hamilton. And I don't know if that's right for a 6 and a 10-year-old. 2 girls to be obsessed with Hamilton, because it's quite an edgy sort of musical, but
heavy.
But they love it. They sing it around the house. But before that, it was Matilda, and before that, it was 6, which again can be quite.
6 is great.
Yes.
6 is great though, but I like the jukebox ones. I like the jukebox ones. My favorite's Rock of Ages and Tina. I think they're absolutely incredible, and Tina's got this opportunity to. All these songs are absolutely so powerful, and they get you going. But there's an entire undercurrent of everything that woman has overcome in her life, and there's like a tint of sadness to it, and there's an overcoming adversity which happened in real life, and that one blows my mind. And it was my mum's birthday back in March, and I bought her tickets, and she came visit me last week, and she went down to see it, and I've got some big Sun points in the bag for that one. Done really well.
well, do you know what? The other favourite musical for me is Rent. I can remember watching Rent, the film, and literally I borrowed it off a friend, and my friend rang me just as I finished watching it, and I couldn't speak because I was crying my eyes out. it was such a moving musical. It really is. Oh, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
So let's get back on to, you finish your training, you're getting into the industry. for anyone out there that wants to try and dip their toe in this acting malarkey, how challenging is it? Because, is it really hard? Is it very challenging? And what advice would you give to anyone that might be mad enough to take on this career?
I think it is really challenging. It's a beautiful career if you get to have the opportunities to actually perform. But I think that what you need is just blind faith in yourself. You need to have a thick skin to be able to deal with the rejection, because we audition all the time. We don't get paid to audition, and so you get a lot of no's. And I think the first few years, that was the hardest thing for me, because I took it so personally. I felt like it was like a slap in the face. It was just like, no, you're not good enough for this. And obviously the older I've gotten, the more I realize that, it's not that I'm not good. It's just that role wasn't for me, or sometimes, because I've also been lucky enough to see it through the castings perspective, and I've seen 20 girls who are brilliant actors, but then this one girl just performs it, and it's like, oh, but she's the character, she's perfect. And it's nothing to do with how talented you are or not, or that you didn't do a good job. It's just that somebody just did something that was just like perfect. But in terms of what advice I'd give, it's like, I'd say rejection is part of the job. So kind of accepting that. And it's not necessarily a no, it's not this one. I also think that you have to be in it for the right reasons. So I've met some people who just want it because they think it's really cool and they want the fame. And the reality is that will only take you so far in terms of the energy to persevere. Because I think those of us who are crazy enough to stay in this industry, it's because we just love it. We love creating. We like performing. We like, analyzing characters and scripts, and just that's what keeps us energized. So yeah, those are little bits. There's so much. learn everything.
Tell us all about your entire lifestyle in a 3-minute answer. You know what I mean? It's a difficult one, but I think you got it there, Dìana.
So obviously, it is challenging. There's a lot of rejection, but you've done really, really amazing things. You really have. I mean, looking at your IMDb, literally has made me literally spin a bit, thinking, what can we talk about? We could do a live stream for hours, but we're not, so don't worry. So let's talk about Moon Knight, because Moon Knight, for me, I am into everything to do with Egypt. I've never been, I've always wanted to. I'm obsessed with pharaohs and Egyptology. Is that a word? Egyptology? Yeah. We'll make it.
I think it is, yeah.
Is it? Go on. And so I heard that this role that you went for was originally a role for a 60-year-old music teacher. So how on earth did you get this role with that as a brief? Which is really bizarre.
It is really bizarre, but I was like, okay, the casting director knows me because he cast me in a short film as the lead in a short film the year before. So I was like, he knows I'm not a 60-year-old, and also I don't have any musical instruments on my CV. So I thought, oh, okay, well, they're seeing me for a reason, so all I can do is try my best. And I just read the script and thought, okay, this seems like just a caring, nice, kind person, and I just went for it. And I was like, well, so many times we get auditions that we don't think we're right for, but it's still like fun to play and to do the scene. So you just play and you just do it, and it was a fun little scene. And then 2 days later, I got offered the role, and I thought, what? I don't even know what I'm doing.
I mean, I know Marvel is very secretive in everything that they do. So, at what point did you actually find out that it was Moon Knight? Because I should imagine that they don't really give you everything at the point of auditioning. So how did that get communicated with you? Was it a phone call to actually tell you, what this is for?
Well, this is why our agents are good, because my agent obviously said, "Oh, this is an untitled Marvel project, but did a bit of research and we reckon it's Moon Knight. So we reckon that this scene is with Oscar Isaac." So I already knew what it could be, but it wasn't until obviously the offer officially came through and the contract that we were like, "Oh, okay, yeah." Now we know. But I didn't actually get the script until I was in Budapest the week before I started filming.
Wow.
And I didn't get the full script. I only got the scenes I was in. So so we were all there, like all the other actors. We were like, "Are you in the film, the series that's currently filming here?" With the other people in the hotel. And then we were trying to work out what the actual script was about, because we again only had our scenes. And obviously, having watched it now, when I actually did get to watch it, I was like, "What?" Because I just thought it was based in Egypt, and I was like, "It's in London."
It's completely bonkers. It's all over the place. When that hippo comes out, you're thinking, "What on earth?" And you're thinking, "I'm sure I haven't drank something or taken something," but it's such a great show. I mean, you share scenes with Oscar Isaac, which, I'm going to be really annoyed if you tell me that he's really lovely in person, because surely he's got his faults. Surely. Because,
and how does he smell? Tell us how he smells. I want to know how he smells.
Do you know what? I was going to wait for that. I was just about to say, before Dan asks you the probing question, I mean, what was it like to work with Oscar Isaac? Because he's a phenomenal performer. He seems a phenomenal man. What was he like?
Oh, incredible. It really was the highlight of my time there, because, well, I was starstruck a little bit. I was like, "Oh my goodness, I'm going to perform opposite Oscar Isaac." And, I didn't meet him until we were literally doing the camera rehearsal. But, I'm just there doing like I'm standing in my position, my number one position, kind of going, "Oh gosh, it's so crazy. I'm about to do a scene with Oscar Isaac." And then I just hear him go, "Dìana!" And then he starts speaking to me in Spanish and he gives me a hug, and I'm just like, "Oh my God." I definitely got very excited, but he was just so lovely. And also he's, he is so talented that I didn't feel like I was acting. I was just watching him and reacting, and it was just very organic. And I feel like, as an actor, I always learn so much when I'm working with amazingly talented performers. So it was a brilliant learning experience for me, just watching him and Ethan Hawke. Like, I mean,
Ethan Hawke.
What?
Oh, do you know what? I met his daughter a few months ago in person, and I had about 20 minutes with her. And literally, you're going to laugh at this, it didn't dawn on me who her mum and dad is. And I thought it was so silly. And as I was chatting to her, I swear you could see the ball drop. And I'm like, Hawke. And yeah, it dropped. And I thought it was such a fool.
That's the girl in Stranger Things, isn't it? I mean, she's a star in her own right. Now,
yeah. She's so lovely as well.
Now, Dìana, I'm a big fan of Oscar Isaac. His version of "Love Is the Drug" from Sucker Punch is on regular rotation in my house constantly. I absolutely adore it. But did you know that you were, because obviously Marvel has this really militant fan base, right? And you've got a lot to deal with. And we normally ask guests that have been in a Marvel project or a big project that's a really popular IP, how they deal with the fans. But did you know that you were part of an online, not conspiracy, but like a thought process? These fan theories that you get. Did you know you were part of one of those?
Oh, tell me.
Okay, so
I'm not
I've
sure
got
that I
I've got,
did. I'm like, did I know? No, I
yeah,
don't think
yeah.
I knew. Go on.
I've got the transcript here. There's an online user called Paulo Silva, and I'm going to read it verbatim here. And it said, "I've just read a post online about the last episode of Moon Knight." So this is just after you've made your debut in the show, and they revealed something that I completely missed when I watched the last episode. The god Hathor's avatar Yatzil meets and talks with Mark and tells him about the history and connection between Hathor and Khonshu. But Hathor has another name, Sekhmet. Sekhmet is mentioned by T'Challa in Civil War, and in the comics become a major enemy of Wakanda and Black Panther. Do you think Marvel just gave us a hint at a future Black Panther villain? So back in 2022, your character had set the nerds alight, Dìana.
To be fair though, you know, when I was doing my research, I also came across that, and I was like, oh, please,
Yeah,
I would love that.
get me right in there, right?
Yeah, no. I mean, yeah. So I definitely came across when I was doing my research on the character that she did have that Sekhmet, and that Sekhmet appears later on. But obviously, I mean, I've not heard anything about it. I mean, hello Marvel, call me again. Why not?
Get onto Phage, get onto the Phage Meister General and go, come on now. I've laid a lot of foundations here. Come on now.
Right.
Well, you know what? Let's get this movement going again on Twitter or something.
Yeah, let's do it.
No, not Twitter.
Do it. We managed it with Warrior Nun. Let's get it going.
Exactly. I mean, let's just quickly talk about the sets, because the Chamber of the Gods is absolutely astonishing. And, you know, there are shows out there with lower budgets, but Marvel, in true style, they don't skimp on things. I mean, what was that like, stepping foot on the Chamber of the Gods for the very first time? Because that must have been surreal.
It was. And, you know, the thing is, when we got the scripts, it said something about the inside of a cave and there were slabs of stones. In my head, I imagined a green screen, and there was going to be some like stone slabs which we were going to be stood on, or something like that. I totally just saw it super basic. So when it was the day before we first actually filmed, and the director Mohammed Diab, he took us on set, and I just was like, my jaw just fell to the ground, because it was so enormous. And everything was just done in such amazing detail. And most of the head of the sculpture, like of the Sphinx, was it? I can't remember what it was exactly, what it's called, but it was almost all there. And I just thought, oh, this is enormous. And it really kind of landed. That was when it landed. Because before that, I didn't really, you know, I'd just seen a few scenes and I was like, cool, okay, sure. And then when I stepped onto that set, and like the fires were all lit, and it was just incredible.
I probably know the answer to this, but did you manage to keep anything from set?
What did you steal? What did you steal, Dìana? What did you rob? Did you get a little statue? Can we sell it?
I wish. No, I'm too much of a goody two shoes over here, because I never take anything I'm not meant to. I'm like, no, I never do. I just took my own photos, and I recorded when I rapped. That's all I did. I sneakily recorded, like, and Dìana, you're rapped, just for memory. That was it.
Do you think we'll ever see a season 2? Or do you think the ship sailed? Because, you know, it's just devastating when there's such shows like this and we don't. The reason being is because I'm a great believer in, I don't know if it's because I've got girls now, but I quite like to see female leading characters out there, you know, representing, to give my girls something positive on TV to see. And with May, that plays Scarlet Scarab, that was kick-ass. When she comes out and she's got those wings, oh my god! And funny enough, me and Dan are going to have some time with her in November. She's coming over to London.
Oh, amazing!
For a come on down, Dìana. Yeah, come on down. Are you coming? Come on, we'll coffee. Brian's getting the coffees. Come on down. It'll get you away from the ambulances for 5 minutes.
But I'd be happy to. I mean, me and May have mutual friends, so like I do hear when she's in London and stuff. So
So
yeah.
there you go.
Let's
It's
do
on
it.
the 16th
Let's
and
do it.
17th of November at the London Film and Comic Con. I think it's Olympia with Showmasters. So we'll reach out to them. If you're free, you can get down there
Let's
as
do
well.
Let's
Oh my
let's
God,
have a
it'd be
reunion.
amazing. So
Reunion, yes.
before we take the short break for the sponsors message and onto the arc, having starred in a Marvel show, do you think it helps you with work going forwards? Do you think that's a really good stamp on your resume to say that you've starred in a Marvel, or do you think it makes no difference whatsoever?
No, I think it definitely makes a difference in terms of just profile, and it's a good role on your CV. I think the important thing is like what kind of role it was really. And yes, of course, it's like a huge it's a huge deal. Marvel is like one of the biggest cinematic universes, so of course it's going to make some noise and make an impact. But for me, what I felt was super special was the impact that I made on my community, because I had so many young Latin American and indigenous people like say, "Oh my gosh, I saw myself on screen when I saw you." And for me, that's what was really powerful, because I was so happy to be able to represent in that way, especially because I requested for the character to be indigenous Latin American, and obviously Marvel just were like, "Yeah, great, thank you for suggesting that." And so that's probably the thing that I'm most proud about, I guess.
Yeah.
And the most impact that I think that role made.
And isn't it nice that we're seeing Marvel and DC start to recognize this and start to bring out characters like Blue Beetle, and characters like that? I think it's wonderful. It's about time. I just don't get why they haven't done it sooner. But if please don't go away. We're just going to go away for 30 seconds to do our sponsors message. This is where Dan just takes a mick out of me for a bit. So we'll be
hold
30
on to your hats,
Dìana.
kids.
It won't be a second. Oh, so this is a sponsors message for our wonderful sponsors.
What's the code, Brian? Tell them the code quick before it goes on screen. Tell them the code.
Calm yourself down, man. So propstore.com is the place to go if you want to get your screen use prop or costume piece from your favorite show. They have got auctions throughout the year. They've got one for The Walking Dead very, very soon that we're going to be going live with them to talk about from LA. And then we're going to be going down in November to get our hands on the actual pieces.
We're having a busy November, aren't we, Brian? We're going to Comic Cons. We're going to go play with props. Can we steal anything? Okay, Deanna's not stealing anything. We could rob one of her props. Drop it round for her.
Yeah, we could do that. But you know what? For all our viewers and fans of the channel,
tell them the code. What's
we
the code?
can give you
Tell them the code.
10% off. 10% off
10%.
at the Buy Now section
10%,
at the Be More Super. And the Buy Now section just needs to put Brian 10. Brian 10 is the code.
Brian, sorry, Brian. What's that again for 10%, Brian? What do I need to put, Brian?
It's Brian 10.
Brian 10
it's the
for
simplest
10%
code in the
says
world.
Brian,
that will get you 10%
Brian
off.
10.
So that could be literally anything from £100 to £1,000. Check out propstore.com right now because they've got some cool pieces. Who knows? They'll probably have some from Moon Knight and hopefully from the Ark. But let's get back to Dìana and talk about the Ark, which is one of
Dìana,
my
he
favorite
could have picked any code. He could have picked Be More Super 10.
No,
he
I
could have
didn't.
picked
I didn't
BMS
pick
10.
it.
He wanted to turn it into a vanity project. That's what he did.
No,
He's gone. He wants people going in there going, tell him Brian said
Fair enough. I mean,
listen, no,
it's shorter.
Propstore chose
It's shorter.
that.
Shorter.
But you know what? Let's talk about the Ark, because literally the last episode had me in tears. It's the most emotional episode that I've ever had to deal with. Christy did tell me to message her as soon as I've watched episode 9. And I'm thinking, it's probably we won't spoil it for anyone that hasn't seen it yet. But I've got to say, it's the one of some of the best writing that I've ever witnessed on TV, and it's so emotional. And I was in Turkey, already worse for wear, laying down watching it, and honestly, I sobbed like a baby. So yeah, but yeah, so. Kim, I was going to call you Kimmy then. Kimmy's your character name.
Kimmy.
Yes. If you could tell us who you play on the Ark and a bit about the Ark for people that may not have seen it yet.
So I play Kimi Melajoma, who is the head of security for one of the Arks. And the Ark is a sci-fi show which deals with... I guess, oh gosh, I haven't done this in a while. Hang on. So it's about people on an ark who are looking for a new planet to colonize because Earth no longer is habitable. And so that's what you're on a journey with them to find a new home.
That is very good.
And lots of things happen.
Yes. So you start off on Arc 15 and end up on Arc 1. What do you think? Why do you think this show is so kick-ass? What do you think is a magic source of the Ark? Because literally, it may not have the biggest budget in the world, compared to Marvel, but I just think the heart and soul, the writing, the acting, it's just, what do you feel makes it so good?
There's several factors. I think that it's because even though it's set on a spaceship, it's not so dissimilar to like we can believe the situation, because let's be real, like Earth at the moment sometimes feels like, whoa, what's happening and how long is this Earth going to survive? So it's not like so far in the future that you can't suspend your disbelief, right? Then there's the fact that it's about human relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what you're there for, the humanity of it all. And it's like human surviving, which I think is always just fascinating to watch. And that's just like, that's what we are as humans. We're always just trying to survive, right? So I think that many people can just relate to it.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
It's not about it's not about like what I'm thinking, like Star Trek, like Klingons and all of these other kind of aliens, right? It doesn't have aliens because it's not about that. It's about humans.
Yeah. And it's great to see that sort of journey that everyone is having on the Ark. Kimmy, we see at the beginning of season 2, and we're unsure if she's a friend or foe. And I've liked to see the story arc of Kimmy, and I still don't know sort of, what Kimmy could potentially do at the rest of the season to, which way it would go. I mean, how far in advance did you know your storyline within the season? Did you get your scripts all in one go, or was it a couple of episodes at a time?
It was an episode at a time, not even a couple of episodes. And I did sit down with Dean Devlin right at the beginning, and he kind of just gave me a slight overview. So he said she's gonna upset a few people. Essentially, she's a bit of a shit stirrer, but her heart's in a good place.
Definitely.
So I knew. I always played her like truthful. She's a good person. She's just there looking for the truth. And obviously by doing that, she ruffles a lot of feathers. It's also like completely understandable. She's just come from an enemy ship. Of course, people aren't going to like her. And also as a woman, I'm just like, okay, well, I have to stand my ground because, you know, I'm head of security and no one's going to mess with me. And so yeah, there's a lot of friction at the beginning. Yes, so I didn't really know so much other than I always just was like, no, she's good, she's good, whatever she's doing, she's good.
I mean, Kimmy does definitely come across as one not to mess with, because you'd probably get your backside kicked, Dan.
Get
Honestly, it's literally in 1 second she can just scare the hell out of me. What was it about Kimmy that drew you to the role? And also, I've been told that the name of your character means something. Is that right?
Yes, it's Lakota for little butterfly, which
Oh
is
well,
hilarious because she's no little butterfly.
no, no, no.
No.
So what was it
but
about the
but
actual the character that actually thought, do you know what, I want to get this?
well, because she was just so tough. The scene that I auditioned with was the one where she first has the confrontation with Bryce. And I just thought that was already so interesting because she doesn't take shit. Like, she just stands up to this guy who's like this big, tall, like buff Scottish guy, and she's just like completely like chill. Like, am I gonna have a problem with you? And I was just like, oh my god, she's so kick-ass. Like, I loved it. I loved how strong she was from just that scene. Like, I understood her. That's how I felt.
Yeah.
And so in all honesty, like, I didn't have a lot of time with the actual audition scenes, but I just read it. I understood her. I've also got like a lot of muscle memory from like doing military video games. So I was like, I could embody that, and it just felt very natural to play her from the get-go.
And you also had us all fooled as well, Dìana, because do you know what? I thought you was American. And your accent, a bit like Oscar Isaac in Moon Knight with his British accent and then his American accent, which I've got to say, Oscar's is more Cockney. It was a proper
I
London
loved the way
accent.
Oscar played it. That was absolutely brilliant. Dìana, I'm glad Brian's brought this up. I'm sorry to interject, Brian, but the accents I am absolutely fascinated by. And in this show, and I don't know if you're aware, Brian, because you don't look like a soap guy, Bryce is played by Richard Fleishman, who used to be in Coronation Street. And the kid's grown up and he looks absolutely fabulous. And he's gone from being the soppy teenager to Mother May I. You know what I mean? And I look at people like him, and I look at Will Poulter, for example, who was on a sketch show on E4 or something about 10, 15 years ago, and now has turned into a decent character in a Marvel universe, and now he's in movies with, Christ, you name him, he's been in it, right? And the accents I find absolutely fascinating. And it was Will Poulter that was online recently talking about how we get, as British people, a bit of a head start to do an American accent because we constantly consume American media. But when it goes the other way, sometimes it doesn't really land. Is that something you've found, or something that you've spoke about? Do you have accent coaches on set and things like that?
We do sometimes. I mean, yes, I've worked on projects where there's definitely an accent coach there, but for sure, it's always easier Brits doing American accents than the reverse. The reverse, you're always like, oh, something sounds a bit like, or not quite right, quite like stereotypical, like, cliche sounding, right? But it's true. We consume so much American, US TV and films that we're just so used to hearing it, and that's what makes it a lot easier.
Yeah, definitely.
I was just thinking Gwyneth Paltrow then from Sliding Doors, because she was good in that. She had a really good accent.
But I was thinking of Oscar Isaac's accent in Moon Knight, because he kind of does a Steptoe and Son kind of accent, right? And I know this is going to sound insane, but like you've got Wilfred Bramble there going, yeah, oh, talking old Cockney, and then you've got, oh God, I forgot his bloody name now. My apologies, but I used to do impressions of him all the time. Be like, no, we're not doing that. We're going down Bognor. What's the matter with you? We're going on holiday, and that's the way that Oscar played it. And I was like, that is bold. You don't normally see a regional accent such as that. You know what I mean, from American actor. So he clearly did his own work on that. I was suitably impressed.
Oh, he had an accent coach on there, but he was flicking between stuff so much, like no wonder, because I had no idea that he was playing like a British character. Obviously, because my scenes with him were in his natural accent, and then I think towards the end, I saw him. He was doing the British character. Oh, he was getting ready to go on set for a different scene, and I was like, "Oh, hey!" And he was like, "Oh, I should stay in my British accent," and I was like, "What?"
Because no,
so
we've only gone down the road and we're having a little laugh about it, and you're like, "What is happening? Where has he heard that he's gone? Yeah, that's the way I'm going to play it. That's the way I'm going to do it."
Could have been worse. He could have gone down the Michael Caine route. Do you know what I mean? But
yes.
Yeah. So who decided that Kimmy was going to be American? Was that by the writers?
She was always meant to be American. She was written as American, so I auditioned in a US accent, which in the UK it's very, very normal to audition in a US accent, but like a lot, because more and more US projects are coming over here as well. So yeah. It was just another day at work for me.
Oh, I wonder what the character would be like if she had an English accent. You know,
I think we're looking at it right now, to be honest, Brian. If Dìana was a little sterner right now, I think we kind of nailed it, bro.
But you know what?
Right, if I wasn't smiling so much.
Yeah, we'll be in trouble. But the writing on this show, as I mentioned earlier, is phenomenal, and it must be great for a performer's perspective, like yourself, to actually have writers on this deliver such outstanding content for you to perform. I mean, for a performer, how nice is that to actually have a script that you must think, do you know what, this is great, because technically they're putting words in your mouth. So, you know, you've got to have some good writers.
Yeah, to be honest, it's like, I think it's almost like the first thing is how lucky that I got to read all of them, because every time a script would come through, it was like, right, I'd get my tea, sit there, and then start like, okay, we're about to read. So like, for example, episode 9, I was not ready. I definitely cried after reading episode 9. And that was just reading it, I was just like, oh my God, like it was so emotional. So I think that for me, that was the most exciting part, is whenever we got the new script, it was just so fun to see it all come to life, right? Like, what are we going to be doing next? And obviously, yeah, it's really fun. It's really fun to play. I mean, especially with Kimmy's intro scenes, where she was so, I'm going to say catty and a bit snarky. And there was a lot of like back and forth, both with Bryce's character and with Strickland. Those were so fun to play, because there was always like an underlying kind of like, who's going to get the last word in, and it was like jabbing each other all the time, and it was really, really fun to play those.
Have you got a favorite scene that you shot this season that you can tell us about? Obviously, if it's yet to be screened, obviously we don't want any spoilers.
No, I think my favorite scenes. Oh, it's a tough one, because I absolutely loved any scene with Pavle, who plays Strickland, was brilliant, because he's also got such like a strong, grounded energy, and his character, although is different to him, it's still very much like this, like 6 foot something guy, and he's quite like dry in his humor. So always, I just loved battling out those scenes with him, because it was playing. It was always playing. So those are probably my favorite. All of those scenes were my favorite.
And then, it seems like you have fun on screen, on camera, but I know that you have a lot of fun off screen, and you've made a lot of friends from joining the arc in its second season, one being Christy Burke. I was chatting to her, and she was telling me to ask you about a certain bike ride that you went on that was apparently very picturesque and enjoyable. Nothing really happened.
Can you
except
give us, a whole thunderstorm.
Tell us all about it. What happened?
Well, because obviously Christy's schedule was manic. I mean, she's the lead and she's in there like 7 till 7 every day. So on the weekends, we would try to unwind and connect to nature. Like me and her really got on, and we loved hanging out on the weekends and doing fun stuff, going on hikes. And this one bike ride, we were looking at the weather, and the tour guide was like, yeah, it should be fine. Apparently it's not going to rain until like 8. And so we'll be back well before then. We did a 2-hour cycle one way to a little town. We stopped there, ate some food. It was really nice. And then we were getting ready to come back, and it's a 2-hour cycle. So it wasn't close, it's like a journey. And then we look at the horizon, and we just see black clouds in the sky. And we were like, maybe we'll make it. Maybe let's try. So we start heading back, only to find that like we started getting blown off our bikes. Christy definitely fell into a ditch on the side of a motorway. Like it was like, and we were like, oh my goodness, we have to find shelter. And so we managed to find this restaurant that wasn't even open, but they saw us. We were completely drenched, absolutely soaking wet. They let us in, and the tour guide had to call his friend to drive from Belgrade to come and pick us up so that we could actually get back home, because otherwise like it was gonna be
what a lovely
stormy.
Relaxing weekend. I bet that took all the pressure off, and I bet nobody ever said anything about it again, and you laid back with a glass of wine that night and went, what a day.
But honestly, that's what made it. That's what made the whole experience even better, because every time Christy and I went out, we were like, we've just done another episode of the Ark. Just it's the Kimmy and Captain Garnett show here. Like,
I'll just make a note of that. We'll be expecting a spin-off very soon. Kimmy Garnett cycle ride. Yeah, last scene, and then they wake up and have a tear up with Moonlight.
So whose fault was it? Whose idea was it again? Was it yours or Christy's to actually go on a bike ride?
I mean, I was the one who had the most time to research stuff.
So it's your fault.
But you know what? She's the one that would say, no, let's do it. No, come on, let's just do it. Like, she was always so up for it because she wanted a change of scenery.
Well, you know what they say, never trust someone that can eat their own weight in ice cream. And that is Christy from all accounts. So bless. Stay away from bikes. Yes. So what have we got to look forward to the rest of the season? Because we've only got, I think, only a few more episodes left. I mean, on a scale of 1 to 10, what is the rest of the season going to be like?
A scale of 1 to 10? I don't know how to scale it in that way. All I can say is it's not, I don't know. Well, listen, I cried again.
Again? Oh, what?
So,
oh no!
I cried again.
More tears, Brian.
Different kind of emotional tears, but I definitely was like,
happy tears. Happy tears.
Look at his face. Look at his face, Dìana. Look at him. He's had his teeth drilled for the past 2 weeks. He's been watching programs he likes that are making him ball every bit of moisture out in his face, and now he's got more to look forward to.
Do you know what? This is how emotional I was when I was abroad, right? Last week, I was at the front of my hotel, sat on the steps, and this little cat came up to me, meowing quite aggressively for a hug, and I teared up because I couldn't take him home. I don't know if it was the
Jesus,
drugs. I don't know, but
I changed
literally,
that medication, mate. I think.
honestly, I was definitely in touch with my feminine side. I literally wanted to take that cat home, and I have got videos of it, meowing aggressively at me. It's gorgeous, it really was. So, so what is next for you? Because I think you're currently filming a show called, is it Haven? I don't know if we can talk about that, or is it
Yes.
top secret?
I mean, I can only say what is out there, which is it's an Amazon show starring Sophie Turner, and it's gonna be fun.
Wow, fair play.
Excellent.
Don't know.
Now,
yeah.
all them NDAs you've been signing over the years are all of a sudden start kicking in. I bet that's what's happening. So, Dìana, listen, we were talking about accents, and before we wrap this up, I want to know. Look, you've spent some time in London now for a lot of years, and I want to know because I'm this is about the third or fourth time I've lived in London now, and now I'm in a posh bit, right? But I used to live in Croydon for a bit. And
Yeah.
you know that South London accent. Have you managed to pick that up? Have you managed? Because I have to try and drop into it, and I've started saying words like "fam" and "you get me" and "you know what I mean." Like, but I can't do it in my accent, so I can't. Do you ever find yourself going into shops to try and go, listen, I'm going to try and pull this off in my best South London accent? Like, and you walk in and go, excuse me, bruv, yeah? Can I get some of them things over there? You get me? Have you managed to pick any of that up? Have you managed to nail it?
I mean, well, listen, I actually grew up in South London, so
Right.
I had more of a South London accent before. But
Oh,
having
you've had
gone
to get rid of it.
drama school, yeah, I have, because I went to drama school and I also like taught English abroad. So now I have like a hybrid London accent, just general, a relatively well-spoken London accent, but occasionally, depending on who I'm talking to,
Yes,
it does
this is where I'm going.
slightly drop. Yeah,
because
it can
I
slightly
have my
drop, but it's
parents
not intentionally.
Oh, I want to know. I want to know if you go around your parents' house for Christmas or something like that. Go around your family's house at Christmas, and all of a sudden you're like, "Get me some of them potatoes, yeah. I want bare potatoes, and get me some of that gravy on that." Like what?
No, because my family's Colombian, so definitely not. Definitely not.
Oh,
do you know what?
I tell you,
Dan? I am really scared on coming down to London and going out for a
Mate.
night with you. I'm going to end up getting beaten up.
No, not around Fancy Chiswick. What we'll do, we'll go down Croydon and we'll go and get some Morley's chicken because that is elite chicken. You can't mess with them things, fam. You know what I mean? Like that is elite top end. Dìana, come on, man. Come on,
Is
man.
that like
Morley's
KFC?
chicken.
Is
It's better. It's better, but somehow worse.
Is it like Chick-fil-A? Is it like
No,
that?
mate.
Is it better?
No, like those like in London with chicken shops, they're like an entire culture, right? And you can get any letter of the alphabet that's not K before FC in London. You could probably do an entire. You could get SFC, you can get WFC, you can get the lot, mate. You can get the lot. Now Morley's is like one of those shit chicken shops that you get, but I don't know what it is that they coat their chicken in. But this is minging. I'm sorry, I'm outing myself on the internet now. But the ones that have been there all day, that if you get there that have been hot holding for the last 3 hours and they're just a bit dry and a little bit crispy. Oh, mate, they're absolutely disgusting, but they're the best thing you will ever eat after about 6 beers in Croydon town.
Well,
no,
I don't know. No,
I disagree.
For me, 6 beers. I know what you're like walking across London because you've missed your train because you've had a few too many right beers.
Oh yeah.
But Dìana, thank you so much for coming on to the show. It's been an absolute pleasure. I cannot wait to watch the rest of the season of The Ark. Please watch it in the US. It's on SYFY. It's premiering in the UK on the 2nd of October, and I think it's already out in Italy and Spain and places like that.
that.
Yeah, the 2nd of October
Oh
on
gosh.
SYFY.
Okay.
Because I get a
Amazing.
special link from SYFY from the US, so I'm seeing shows that are not even out in the UK yet, and
We're
I've got to
so
keep my mouth
fancy,
shut.
aren't we?
I
We're so
know.
showbiz.
I mean, there's a new show. Well, it's not a new show, new season of a show called From. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's on MGM Plus, and it's the
We've
most
not seen it.
scariest.
We don't get all fancy links like you do, Brian. Of course, we've not seen it.
But yeah, it's the scariest thing ever. But no,
Brilliant.
Dìana, thank you
Oh, I
so
won't be
much.
watching it then.
Oh no, my wife said that she goes to bed just thinking about it, and she has nightmares. So that says a lot. But thank you so much for coming on to the show. It's been an absolute pleasure. I'm going to end the stream
Thank
now.
you.
Thank you for everyone watching who was comment. Julia, Shimalos. I'm rubbish with names. I do apologize. This is why I'm glad that you're called Dìana, because I can say that.
Yeah, he can't. I love the way that he's had his teeth drilled the last couple of weeks. As someone called Shamalos Scott has written there, and he's wanted to say thank you to him. Like that's the worst thing you could have said with your new new teeth,
I'm
mate.
sorry. Yes, but anyway, thank you so much. We'll end the stream here. Dìana, don't go anywhere. We'll say goodbye properly in a second. Thank you. We'll see you next week.